Aging ducks is possible for almost all species based on the characteristics of their wing feathers. For some species, that's a little easier. For others, it's pretty darn complicated. You got to look pretty carefully. You can actually go online and see some of the information that biologists use, but it takes a lot of experience. It's not easy to do. Now, early in fall, the juvenile ducks, the birds that hatch that year, one key thing you can look for, if you shoot a duck and it's got kind of a little notch in its tail feathers, at the tip of its tail feathers, dead giveaway that that bird was born that spring. As fall progresses, those tail feathers are going to fall out and be replaced by new plumage, and that notch goes away. So it's not reliable, say, for a lot of species, starting maybe even as early as October, it starts to be getting a little less reliable. By November, December, it's rare to see that notched tail feather in a juvenile bird anymore. Some other things you can look for, feather wear tends to be a little bit higher on those juvenile ducks because they grew those feathers and they've been preening on them. And remember that our adult ducks went off and molted into a new set of feathers, so the wear is a little bit, pattern's a little bit less. The rest of the characteristics that we look for are really pretty tricky. That's called the parts collection survey. Hunters are asked each year, so they're selected, and some of them are asked to send a wing from all the ducks they shoot, or the tail feathers from a goose they shoot. Now, why is that? Well, biologists take that information, we're able to look at those wings, and number one, we're able to age them, and number two, we're able to sex those birds by wing characteristics. And so we learn things about the sex ratio and the age ratio that give us a sort of a post-mortem on how production was for a given year. We can monitor that over time, and if our percentage of juveniles in the population really drops off, then that indicates that, well, production's probably not great right now. Alternatively, if the production of juveniles in the population, the proportion is really high, then it looks like we probably had a pretty good year. It's a pretty neat thing to participate in when you're all done and send all those things in. They all go into a lab, a bunch of biologists get together for what we call the wing bee. They do all those wings, thousands and thousands of wings, in a series of a week or so, get them all done, and ultimately the service will send you a printed report that will give you the species, age, and sex of the ducks you shot.